If Max Verstappen retires from F1 in 2026, who replaces him? Let's find out. The first question to be asked is, do I think Max Verstappen retires in 2026? I think no.
We're gonna do it anyway.
But if he does decide to retire in 2026, I have formed a list of potential replacements. I have listed some which are obvious and some which I just think will be very interesting. But before I say my list, let me know down in the comments who you think would replace Max Verstappen this year if he retires. The first driver I think which could replace Max Verstappen is Yuki Tsunoda. As we know, he is still part of the Red Bull team as the reserve driver, so he has had experience with Red Bull before. However, as we know, he was driving for Red Bull last season and was replaced for this season, so it is unlikely that Red Bull might decide to choose him as a replacement for Max Verstappen. For the next driver, I'm going to give you two names, as they are both part of the second team to Red Bull of VCARB. Of course, these names are Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad. Both of these drivers will have a chance to get the Red Bull seat, but who would Red Bull choose? At the time of recording, we have finished the Japanese Grand Prix, and so far they have both done a decent job. But what will decide if their form continues throughout the season? Lindblad is in his rookie season, so there could be question marks if he is ready to take on the main seat next season at Red Bull. But so far, he has shown good potential. And Lawson has driven for Red Bull before, and was moved back to VCARB, but that was under a different team principle at Red Bull. I think so far any of the three drivers I've mentioned have reasons why they could be in the Red Bull seat for 2027 if Max decides to retire. However, I do think what Red Bull need to think about is they won't be able to replace Max Verstappen currently. Like, they won't be able to get someone in that car and do what Max does now. I think what they need to think about is plan for the future. So as I said, those three drivers are still quite young drivers, so they have also the future at Red Bull to build that team as well. So yeah, I don't think there's any driver they could bring in who will do what Max does now. Because like I said, Max been that team for years. He knows how it works, all that stuff. But like I said, any of those three drivers could step into that Red Bull car and help build Red Bull now and for the future. But now what I'm going to name is, I'm going to name one driver who I think is, like, those three are obvious ones. They're reserve drivers, they're part of the Red Bull second team. But this driver I'm about to name is somebody who's not part of Red Bull. And I just think it would be an interesting choice. And I think there could be reasons behind why this could happen. But like I said, it might not happen. But the driver I'm going to name is Ollie Behrman. I know he has links to Ferrari, so it would be difficult for Red Bull to sign him. But he has shown this season and last season that he is ready to drive for a top team. I think that Ollie Behrman has already shown me that he is going to be a future world champion if he has the right car. And of course, right now, there is no Ferrari seat available, and there is no other top team available where Ollie Behrman can sign for. So if that Red Bull seat becomes available, it will be interesting to see what happens. And it will be interesting to see him in that car, because I think he will do very well. But those are my drivers who I've listed of who could replace Max Verstappen in 2027 if he decides to retire. Like I said, I don't think he does retire, but if he does, those are my options I've given. But like I said, let me know down in the comments what you think, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.